What up, y'all? Thank y'all for coming in for another episode of the DC Pharma Show. Got my co-host here with me, Big Worm.
What up? What's going on? It's been a good week. Hope everybody's had a good week.
Definitely. Make sure y'all go follow Big Worm at Cannabis DC. That is on IG and YouTube and everything else. We got a special guest today, Joshua Steensland. So make sure I got him hooked up in here right now, and I think I have to resend him the link. Hold up, that's him right there.
So last time we were talking about soil mixes and some different things going on with that. I got to go ahead and transplanted some 1 gallons into 20 gallons today. Pretty excited about that. The 9-pound hammers. So went ahead and transplanted those. I also, at that time, I went ahead and planted a new cover crop. So I put a new cover crop in, top dressed with compost, worm castings, probably too much malted barley, but I ground up a couple cups of malted barley, top dressed with that, and watered everything in. So hopefully that's going to kick off, because that's, again, new soil. So it's a new cycle for that 20 gallons, so brand new cycle. So you basically got that goal, I think, of the first cycle is really trying to bring it to life and get those roots going, get the no-till going, and, establish that network. Because the cover crops, they really save your butt. I think they really they allow for a lot of filtering of the water. They allow a lot of pH in, buffering the pH. They're adding a lot of things through the exudates, fungi network.
Okay. 1 second, I wasn't paying attention.
That's all right, man.
All right, Joshua, if you're watching the show, Joshua Steensland, I'm going to send you this link to your email, and we're going to connect that way because the link I sent you earlier was obviously the wrong one. So I'll be back with y'all while Big Worm hold me down, and I'm going to send Joshua Steensland this link so we can have him on tonight with us.
So while he's doing that, so next week we're hoping that we can talk to Josh to the show, and we're gonna do some questions. But Josh is a wealth of knowledge, so next week we're gonna start talking more about nutrients, how the plant uses different nutrients. So with that, if you've gotten a Teaming with Nutrients book, that'd be a great read for next week, so you can ask any questions you might have about it. It does get into some basic chemistry, some basic biology. Those are important things to know, especially when you're looking at where your plants are getting things in the no-till system and understanding what the plant needs in the no-till system. So with that, we're going to look at macronutrients, micronutrients, where those are coming from, when they're available, and how pH really works. So we're gonna touch on some different stuff. How's everybody doing in chat out there? Yeah, there's a I don't know if you pulled that file. Could you hand him this for me? In the folder for him. In that Listen Vision folder, there's a picture. If you could pull it up, if y'all aren't too busy, I could talk about that. Oh. So an ounce per plant, 1 ounce was. So. Is that Josh calling in?
Hey, what's up? Hey, you around? Yeah, good. What's up, Jacob?
So that the question about what you're going to pull. That's really like a gram per watt in that case, or par watts if you're using the LED. That really has to do with the size and how much you're vegging in that 1 month. And so it's I grow big plants, so I'm vegging them and scrogging them out as much as I can under a 3x3 because of our plant count in DC. So that's a small. If I can't get an ounce per plant. you know what I'm saying? DC Pharma.
So the question is, can you get an ounce per plant
with
or
a 1 month veg? He's saying
with a 1 month veg?
He said he's having trouble with that.
Well, the question would be, what kind of what the wattage of his light? What was that he was saying?
He said he's got them under Cobb LEDs. So I mean, it really remembers how many of those, right?
Yeah. Because at that point, if you're trying to get that at least an ounce, which you should be able to with no problem if you got them vegging for a month.
Yeah. I would
you
think
should definitely be able to get an ounce with no problem on a bad day.
Especially topping them, low stress training it.
And then I don't even think that it would matter if it has what kind of light you're actually using, because like I said, getting an ounce out of your plant shouldn't be hard at all.
Right. Yeah, I mean, under even beginning no-till, I think you're pulling a 0.5 gram a watt without a problem.
Right. And we're definitely gonna have an episode about light real soon. I have some guys I'm definitely interested to come on and speak about their lights that they are creating, because this is a new technology, and we have a lot of new people out here getting into this new technology and building some awesome ass lights. So yeah, we definitely gonna have some of that on the show. And bear with us for a second, because we are about to get Joshua on here. We're just having a little connection problems going on. We keep missing each other, but yeah, we working it out.
What up, Virginia Living Organics? This guy, man, he's into the permaculture. You know much about permaculture?
Indeed, yeah, definitely.
Yes, this guy's got a farm, a permaculture farm. He's an amazing Instagram. If you're into permaculture, or you just want to see some really pretty farm pictures, Virginia Living Organics. Cool guy.
And that's the beautiful thing about this organic growing, man. There's so many methods to it. So it's not just one way of doing it. I personally prefer the no-till way, but you had K&F, you got permaculture, and everything's slightly a little bit different, but the same in some cases. But like I said, it's different styles, different strokes for different folks. So you know what I'm saying? You could definitely pick your poison in organic.
I think that there's going to be a grower that's going to be more comfortable with bottles and mixing up the bottle and pouring it in. And you can do that organically, There's some quality, Omri listed stuff out there you can use if that's, So yeah, I agree 100% that there's many ways to do it. So.
And please do bear with me. We are having this giveaway today. Y'all see all of it on the table. I need to scoot it over so you can see everything else. But definitely we're going to have a call in today. Win the little smoke box. How we doing, Jacob? He's definitely on. Are you on with us, Josh?
Hey, what's happening, guys?
Oh, he's on there.
Hey, Josh, what's going on, man?
Not much. How's my audio?
Your audio is perfect.
Good, great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for being on. Definitely, I'm glad that you could come on tonight so we could speak about some no-till and some organic growing. But before we get into that, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the people, let them know, who you are, what you do, and about the business and companies that you have going on the side as well.
Sure, man, no problem. Those of you that don't know me, I'm Joshua Steensland. I basically just do no-till cultivation, and I take a real minimalist approach. I started doing like YouTube videos and whatnot just to kind of document my journey and to kind of hold myself accountable. And so, I've just kind of been plugging along doing that. I haven't done a lot of videos lately, but my whole goal is to show people what can be done on the minimalist approach to really kind of prove the point that the power's in the soil. And you can get real fancy and funky with K&F stuff, and there's plenty of organic inputs that are valid and worthwhile. And I don't have anything against any of those. I just am going to an extreme to really prove the point that I'm 6 cycles on these beds, and all I've ever fed my plants when they're in the soil is fresh water. That's it. Any teas I apply will be in between cycles, and I minimally amend my beds only twice a year. I'll add about 7 pounds of dry nutrients and minerals to each 4x8 bed, and I'll just do that like every other cycle or twice a year, and everything else just fresh water straight through. And so so far there haven't been very many hiccups, and the soil does keep getting better with time. So I really kind of feel like I'm a no-till evangelist of sorts, just really trying to show people that you don't have to be a mad scientist. You just got to have the right ingredients, and then just let nature just take a step back and get out of the way and let nature take its course. And so far it's been going really good. I've been cultivating cannabis for about 18 years straight, ever since I got out of the Marines. And this no-till style of cultivation has hands down provided me the best medicine, best product I've ever grown. So just a sec, I got to kill a spider on the wall.
No problem, man.
Nah, but cool. I mean, I feel the same way, definitely. But I'm curious, since you've been growing for about 18 years or over, definitely. How did you get into no-till or into organic, period?
Sure.
What led you to this route?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I used to own 2 brick and mortar hydroponic shops in Southern Oregon back in 2008. And so I really got really familiar with the industry and all the different gimmicky kind of product lines that come out and these crazy 13-part formulas and stuff. And so I know them all really, really well. And I've tried them all, right? And so I've done, I was a big, I loved advanced nutrients, and they were what I felt like was a good product, and I always got good yields, and I just I felt like I got a bad batch of it, and it was that pH perfect line. And I'm not trying to bash advanced or anything. I'm just telling my story, right? So
right.
The pH was way too low, and it fried a bunch of the plants. When I had kind of trusted the pH perfect formula for a long time, I had no problems with it. And it had dropped the pH really low and fried a big crop that I had, and not only mine, but a crop that I was consulting. We used the same batch of nutrients, and so I had 2, decent sized ops kind of go tits up, and I was really irritated. And so I started looking online at other methods of cultivation, and super soil came up, which is usually the first thing that people kind of stumble across when they decide to go organic or natural. So I cooked up a batch of super soil, and I really just didn't believe that you didn't have to pH your water. That. I was just like, no fucking way. I didn't believe it, because for 15 years previous, that was such an integral part of my process. Anybody's process when you're cultivating is making sure your pH is right. That it didn't compute, So I had to run a super soil crop cycle to just kind of believe it, And I had a really good run. Everything went really well. And about halfway through that cycle, I was on the ICMAG forums, and I seen somebody had a picture of just this beautiful plant in full bloom. It was like a week from harvest. And his caption for the picture was, "This plant was fed nothing but fresh water and its own shade leaves as top dressing the whole cycle." And it blew my fucking mind. I just couldn't believe that somebody could get that high a quality in material with just fresh water. And so I was hooked then. I immediately started looking into no-till, and started really looking into the soil. And I was intimidated. Because for so long I relied on bottles, and I relied on companies and their bullshit gimmicks to kind of try to sell me onto stuff, and just kind of trust that it worked. But there's this natural process that's been here all along that works way better than anything you can get in a bottle. And it was just like a fucking light bulb. And I was hooked and sold. We eat in my house. I'm not on any kind of like high horse about, like I'm not like one of those, I'm a vegan, but we eat really well. We eat a plant-based diet. We don't put poisons or toxins into our body. We try to live as naturally as possible. And it just seemed just appropriate to marry the two. Like, why didn't I start this fucking 15 years ago type of thinking,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I find me personally, because as compared to you, I'm kind of a newbie to it. I've been going for a couple years now, but as compared to you, I'm kind of a newbie. But I have been realizing that there is a correlation there. So you start to realize, hey, if it works for the plant, it might work for my body, So
Right.
I slowly myself, because I have a lot of bad habits with my diets and other recreational things that I like to do, but slowly but surely I find myself retracting from those things as I'm gardening the way that I do gardening and seeing the results for my plants as well. So, you know what I'm saying? As that way I do more research about how we should eat, diets and all that. So I find myself leaning that way too. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's going to rub off on you one way or another. I mean, we're all living organisms. And if you're even just halfway paying attention, you're going to see the benefits in the plant as a living organism and be like, man, what can I do for myself? Or you're just going to like intuitively make those changes for sure.
Yeah, I completely agree. Josh, I think it's awesome to have you on. I believe that, I think I told you once in live chat that you completely met your goal of making some great informative no-till videos with your video series. It's on a playlist on my channel. As soon as I give people no-till soil, I'm like, go watch these videos and then we can talk more about it and I can answer your questions, but it's a great series. One question I know you talk about, you do foliar spray. Do you mind talking about a little bit what you do with the foliar feed during your feeding and how far you go with that?
Sure. Yeah, I only do the foliar in the vegetative cycle and maybe in the first week of flower too before we get heavy bud set, which is pretty standard. And I don't have really a schedule or any kind of like just recipes that are, okay, this is my veg foliar. I just kind of like just go with the flow. And so, one time I'll do a kelp foliar once or twice during the veg cycle or some stuff like that. So it's really, or like an earthworm casting tea foliar, just really mild stuff. And I just kind of do it as I feel like it, and it's usually maybe 3-4 times during that veg early bloom cycle, I'll actually do a foliar. So it's one of those deals where I really want people to understand you don't have to have a schedule.
Right.
You don't have to have a master plan. You just got to have the appropriate inputs and the work is done for you really. So, but it is nice to give them an aloe foliar every once in a while. And like I said, there's lots of really good benefits to the Korean natural farming stuff that I think, I'm probably sacrificing yield and quality to some degree by not exploring some of these further natural options. But once again, I'm really just trying to prove this minimalist point. I want to see how far I can take it. I'm starting my 7th cycle, so we're going to just keep rocking this water only and see how long we can go.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really think that speaks to the beds. DC Pharma, we had talked about that beds were the way to go versus containers. And I think that your results are, proof of that. Just the root mass you can get in the soil food web, it's more mass. It's just more biomass there.
Definitely. I totally agree. Anywhere you can increase like that volume is so important. Back when I was doing conventional gardening, some of the biggest plants I ever seen when I had my hydro shops and I would do consulting kind of on the side. So I'd go out to people's grows and help them out. This was 10 years ago. So that kind of stuff was unheard of. I really had to, people really had to trust me back in those days to just invite me over. So that kind of shit just wasn't happening. But the biggest plants that I had ever seen were grown out of holes that you could literally park a Volkswagen bus nose down in. Wow. And it's that volume of good tillith or good soil is going to provide that root zone and like you're talking about the food soil web to withstand little micro changes in that big volume of soil. So if you got like in my 4x8 beds, if I have a pocket of 1 cubic foot that's just kind of gone anaerobic or something, just to kind of give you an example. That's a really small percentage of the whole bed. That whole root mass has all that other healthy root and healthy soil to pull from until that corrects itself. You know, it's kind of a
Exactly.
weird example, but
I feel
I
the
think-
same way with that mass in the soil. Like if you do have that one pocket of anaerobic bacteria, that in time it will correct itself because all the aerobic bacteria that you also have in your soil, and that will work itself out in time for sure.
Yeah, and in a 20-gallon container, that 1 cubic foot's a way larger volume, and so you're going to be more susceptible to seeing the negative results of that. And same with water retention and all that other stuff. You know, those little pots are going to dry out faster if you don't have a blue mat system or some kind of automated drip system, and you're relying on hand water. It's not if, it's when human error kicks in. You know, at some point you're going to fuck up and you're going to miss a watering, and your bio life is going to crash because you dried it out.
Well, since you brought up blue mats, that'll lead me right into the next question I have for you because my co-host right here likes the the blue mats and the SIP technology as well. So let's talk about how you got your thing going, Josh.
Well, I've said it. I'll say it a million times, and I'll keep saying it. They are game changers. Those blue mats were, especially in a living soil situation where you want constant moisture level, a constant. You know, I haven't had to readjust those things since I've dialed them in. So sometimes it can take some time. It could take you a week or so to get them exactly dialed, but once they're dialed, they're good. You know, I think I had one misstep where my beds got dry because they were close to a dehumidifier was sucking moisture out, and so I had some weird what's called cone to soil contact. But anyway, in 6 cycles, I've had one mishap with the blue mats, and those were kind of, once again, user error. But I tell people, I kind of joke, I haven't watered my plants in 6 cycles. I mean, I just haven't. The blue mats do it all. And I trust them so much that I don't even worry about it anymore.
Can you, Josh, do you mind talking a little bit about dialing them in? Because I have to admit, one time I flooded everything, and the other time I couldn't get them to drip properly. I know there's the soaking process. Any tips, if you will? Because I have them, and right now, you know.
My experience from setting them up, there can be a few factors. Like if you have too much elevation where your reservoir is, and it creates too much pressure, it can cause some issues with dialing them in. If you're also running it from like a tap or something, or running it with a pressurized system, then they can be pretty hard to dial in. I found that you really want that reservoir to be no more than about 4 feet above your beds, maybe 5, because then once you start getting higher than that, the pressure will build, and I've seen it push out and make it harder to dial in because that water pressure is just so great. So that's the best thing I could say. Other than that, is making micro adjustments and just waiting it out. That was the big thing that I had to learn, is that, you know, we kind of want immediate results. So you make a change and you know, you don't get that result with the blue mat because you got to wait for it to drip. So you have to make the micro adjustment and then come back in a day and see where you're at, you know. So I went through periods where my beds got too moist, and then they got too dry, and then I just slowly, from when they were dry, started adding a little, like a 1/8 of a twist to each one of those, the tops of the carrots, until it got to that point where I could get the appropriate moisture levels, which, if anybody wants to know a kind of a, you know, a old school way of checking your proper moisture level in a living soil, is grabbing a handful, squeezing it as hard as you can, like just fucking hard. Only 1 drop of water should come out. If you got more than 1 drop of water coming out, you're too wet. If you can't get any moisture to come out, you're too dry. So that's, you know, I just worked up until I got to that consistency, and it's been that way ever since.
And that's a good thing to keep in mind as well, because we also have to keep in mind in this no-till gardening that it's a living soil that we're dealing with, so you don't want to overwater, because basically what you're doing is just flooding out the living organics that's in the actual soil itself. So definitely something you want to keep in mind.
Runoff is no bueno. Runoff is no good. Your biology is just going bye-bye at that point.
Exactly. Well, Josh, another question I have for you, man. Your business. Your business,
Oh
man.
yeah.
Definitely. Let us know a little bit something about that.
Sure. A lot of you guys know from my videos and my Instagram, we started a kombucha brewery, and it's going really well. I mean, it's paying for itself, which is, it's, you can't ask for anything more really in your first year of business. So we're happy we're kind of slowly. We didn't take any loans. We didn't take any investors or anything. So we've really just starting this business small and organically, and just using the business proceeds to grow itself. And so we're taking a really nice trajectory. We're in a lot of places in town, and we're getting a lot of good feedback, and we really love our kombucha. Everybody else does too. So I feel like we're building a nice, viable business that's not cannabis related, that my kids can be involved in. My oldest is turning 16, so we want to be able to, provide her an income, so she could work at the brewery or work at the farmers markets and whatnot. We also, my wife is getting ready to start a yoga studio, and she's been doing a lifted canna yoga classes, which is like, we're just give everybody a joint and everybody gets high, and she guides them through a 90-minute yoga session, and it's been wildly popular.
That's awesome.
In this, we sell out every time.
Nice.
And so we're kind of trying to look for indoor venues to do that on a regular basis instead of just being kind of stuck seasonal. So, we're pretty busy folks. On top of all that, we homeschool our 3 kids, and they're really active in Taekwondo and all this other stuff. So we're pretty busy folks. That's why it's nice to be able to take a breather and get on and chat with you guys. So appreciate it.
And that's what's up. And I definitely enjoyed the time that you took with us today, man. And I appreciate you coming through tonight. Speaking about your experience with no-till. If anybody got any questions out there in the chat, now is the time. Because I got my boy Joshua here for a limited time, and I got to let him go because, like he said, he's a busy guy. So if you got any questions, shoot them through. And Joshua, go ahead and tell people where they can find you at on social media, and where they can follow you, and your website as well.
Sure, yeah. I'm just on IG. It's just my name. I don't use no crazy handle or nothing. So I'm just Joshua Steensland on Instagram and YouTube. I try to keep my Facebook kind of just family. So Instagram and YouTube are kind of the best ways to get at me. And many of you might already know, like, if you got questions, hit me up. Might take me 3 or 4 days, maybe sometimes a week to get back to you, but I will get back to you. And if I don't know the answer to your question, I know somebody to get you in touch with. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just reach out to us, any of us, and we're more than happy to help.
Okay, we definitely got one question that came through for you, Joshua, and that's from Virginia Living Organics.
Yeah.
He wants to know, how do you dry and cure your flowers?
I dry and cure them. I guess it kind of depends on if I'm processing them for the flower themselves, because I'll do it differently if I'm going to process the whole batch to rosin. I just kind of not flash dry with high temps, but I'll flash dry with lower humidity. That way it just kind of dries it faster, and I can get a fresher press off the rosin press. So there's really not a lot of technique there when I'm processing the material to rosin. But if I'm actually processing the flower, then I'll do your typical low and slow, at 65 degrees, 65% humidity, and it can take 10 days to 2 weeks on the line. Usually 10 days here for me, and then I'll take them from the line and put them in bins, in kind of what I call the sweat period, to get that stem moisture out of the way. And that's usually a 4 or 5 day period. And then after that, once the big stems can snap, into the final packaging they go. So you're pretty standard low and slow curing techniques, and we get really nice results with that.
That's interesting, man. I didn't know that you actually had 2 different methods depending on what you did. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I've just found that you get the terps don't change. I mean, you're saving terps a little bit by kind of doing the lower temperature and then like a 35 or 40% humidity, it dries pretty quick. So you're not trapping a ton of chlorophyll. And if you're processing it to rosin anyway, I haven't seen it cause a negative effect with like chlorophyll-y tasting rosin or anything like that. So once again, I'm not a rosin master by any means, but it's what's been working for us. It just seems like a quicker way to get through the product than taking the time to just give it a long full cure.
And do you see any improvements in your yield with that, or it's just a quick way to get there?
Just a quick way to get it done. It's probably laziness on my part. You know, I don't have a lot of space dedicated for dry and cure, so a lot of times I want to get through that material as quick as I can. And if it's all just going to go to rosin anyway, then I just go about it like that.
Cool. We got another question for you, and this comes by way of Tracy Scott Brown. Famous question that they always ask the no-till people is, do you flush?
No. You don't flush in no-till. You shouldn't have to flush in living soil systems because the natural processes at work, the plant doesn't overfeed itself, and the plant's not uptaking nutrients in forms that it's not supposed to. So it's a constant flushing that's happening. When there's just nothing, all I ever feed my plants is fresh water, and liquid-wise, right? So whatever's happening in the soil between the plant and the soil, the plant's just asking for exactly what it needs and getting it, and not taking any more. Nothing else is being deposited in the plant tissue because that's just not a natural function. So long story short, no. In living soil systems, you do not need to flush whatsoever. I can pluck a bud off at 6 weeks in flower that's got 3 weeks to go, dry it on a cable box and puff it, and it'll be a fine white ash you could blow out of the bowl every time. So there's never any kind of buildup that you would get with a bottle.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that about watering. And I know a lot of people, when they hear just watering, and you're thinking that's just all that the plant is getting, and it's not. He's actually just watering the soil. And the effects that's going inside the soil, all the drama and all the war and pollution, everything that's going on inside the soil is actually what's feeding this plant. So the watering part just comes from just keeping the microbes and everything else in the soil alive, I believe. Am I correct by saying that, Joshua?
Absolutely, yeah. The water provides no nutritional value whatsoever. It's just like you said. It's just keeping the critters and the fungi alive in there, so they can eat and die and fuck and do all the things that they're doing in there, and creating the goods for the plant to pull from. You know, and it's such an incredible process that we don't even our smartest scientists barely even know 5% or whatever of what's really going on in the soil. So we're really kind of naive to the processes that at work there. That's what I learned, to just get out of the way, because by kind of getting in the way, you're disrupting that other 95% that we don't even know what's happening. Exactly. And some magical shit's happening because I'm producing the best material I've ever grown, and I've ever had my hand in cultivating. So there's something's happening down there, and I'm really happy to see this big kind of resurgence of the old ways. People are realizing that we don't know it all, and maybe it's time to start trusting the natural order again.
Okay, Josh, I don't mean to hold you up, but these questions is definitely coming in now.
No, it's okay.
And I got one from District's Own, and he's asking, can there be an abundance of any amendment in no-till soil, and can that cause any issues?
An abundance meaning probably meaning like too much. I think you could have too much if you over amended. I imagine you would end up getting some kind of imbalance. That's why like the Coots recipe and these living soil recipes call for only a half a cup of certain amendments per cubic foot, 4 cups of the glacial rock dust. I think that's all been designed by people who have who really pioneered, like Coot and Jeremy at Build a Soil, and a lot of these guys that have really paved the way. That when I first started wanting to sink my teeth into this, those were the guys that I looked to, to get the information. So I just have kind of trusted that somebody ahead of me worked out those details. I couldn't tell you what would happen if you used 2 cups of crab meal instead of the 1/2, but I'm guessing that it's not going to be good. I mean, I imagine you can still get into those levels when you burn your plants if you have your mix off.
Definitely, man. And like the old saying goes, man, too much of anything is never too good, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got another question here. Who is this by?
JS Weed.
Yeah, JS Weed. He will. Would there be any major negative to running no-till in a home basement compared to a normal amendment or dumping my cocoa soil? What is he saying?
Cocoa/soil. I guess he's saying it's like I guess he's doing dump to waste, I guess.
So I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. He's asking if it's better to do the no-till than the drain to waste?
I think he's just asking, is there any major negatives? I mean, I'm currently running in a basement, and I'm not having any negatives. I think, you got to control your environment just like anything else, I would think.
I was gonna say the same thing. Like, I can't imagine any kind of negative. As a matter of fact, if you're running a system where you're drained to waste right now, you're actually going to have a positive benefit switching to no-till, because eventually you should be running with 0 runoff. So that eliminates that whole variable that you have to contend with as far as moisture and how you're going to get rid of it, whether it's going down a drain or whatever. But I don't think a basement would pose any more of a problem than a garage would.
Indeed. Just as long as everything is in tune, dialed in, you should definitely have no problems.
Yeah, for sure.
And again, that's about it for you, Josh, man. Thanks for coming through, man.
Hey, my pleasure, man. I really appreciate it. I'm glad to see you guys doing your thing, and it's kind of no-till or organic specific. I think it's really important. Anytime you need me on, I'll be on here for you.
Thanks a lot, Josh. You're awesome, man.
Thanks guys. Have a good night, folks.
All right. Have a good one.
Have a good one. All right, for the next part of the show tonight, I promised y'all to give away the Smokers Box Edition. I got the little nectar collector. Have a bong here. Definitely just a box of all good, and a topical right here. This is a plus right here. And this is would you like to explain this one?
So give a little shout out to Cannabis Princess P, the DC 2nd annual topical first prize winner right here. So rub this on what hurts you. 10 to 15 minutes, you should be feeling better. So that's the large size coming to you.
And this is first place winner from the Cannabis Cup, indeed.
So best of DC coming to you.
And with that being said, Josh, can you put the number up? Which I don't know if you can or can't. The number to call in is 202-618-9399. Again, that's 202-618-9399. And the 10th caller get this little smoke box thing we got going on. So, I guess I got to count them down however they call. Hey, how we hook this up, Jacob?
Did I do that right in chat? Check that for me. You see that? That's the right number?
Yeah.
All right.
That's it right there. And the 10th caller will get the Smokers Box Edition, which comes with all
kinds of good stuff.
Yeah. There goes number 1. We hook this up. Hey, Jacob, how we hook this up? Yeah, hello? Joe, you calling number 2, man. Go ahead and try back again.
Take it off speaker.
I can take it off speaker. Cool.
Joe.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Joe, you calling number 3. Try back
Press 1.
again.
To send
Thanks
a
for calling
voicemail,
in.
Press 2.
Your man Joe's on it.
Hmm.
Your man Joe's on it.
Yeah, ain't it? And thank y'all for all interacting with us, man. And how we was talking about the soil food web. We're gonna keep talking about that until we get a winner tonight, man. And basically what we talking about when Josh is talking about watering, like we said, man, he basically talking about water in the soil, water and the microbial life that's in the soil, and then the plant's able to take.
Yeah, so the water is acting as a conduit, right? So it's picking up the nutrients as it goes in there because they're in their different ionized forms and they're jumping in the water and caller 4.
Yeah.
Call from.
John.
To
Dallas.
accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2. To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
All right, Dallas, you was calling number 5. I got another call coming in.
Call from.
Joe.
Oh, that's Joe again. Hey, Joe, you trying?
To send a voicemail, press 2.
6.
Joe, you real close. You calling number 6, man. Keep on trying, man. You getting there.
So District Town, I'm actually doing sip trays. If you check out my Instagram, you'll see my sip containers. I'm using a 25-inch tray. I'm filling it with lava rock and perlite, and I'm filling that with a gallon to 2 gallons.
Was that number 5? Yeah, number 6. The 7 now?
6 or 7.
Okay.
Call from.
6, number 6. We're keeping straight.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Oh, that was 6. Okay, we got number 7 coming in because 6 just got bumped off by 7. I'm sorry about that.
J Sweet.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
All right, calling you number 7. Please try again. Close. And let's talk about that sip method you got going, man, because I was really interested about that. Now,
So
how do you line the bottom of your medium, the pots or whatever, man?
So
you
the
have?
containers, I'm doing them 100% the same. So I got a 20-gallon container. I'm putting the soil down in the bottom. The cloth of the container acts as the barrier. And so then it sits on top of the lava rock and perlite mix. And then you fill that up. So, and then it just wicks the water. So I just filled up these brand new 20-gallon containers.
All right, we are calling number 8 right now.
Call from.
John.
To accept, press.
You're calling number 8. Thanks for calling in. You're getting real close. Try again, please. I'm new to this, y'all. I hope we're getting this together. But yeah, we're getting there close. 2 more callers, y'all. So go ahead. I ain't mean to interrupt.
No, the calls. This is a nice pack right here. That nectar collector is nice. So I'm filling up the containers. So the sip, they automatically, these brand new 20s with dry soil in them, right out of my bag of my mix. They sucked up 3 gallons quick. So I'm saturating from the bottom up. So it gives you the benefits of a hydro system in that the water's always there for it. DC.
Calling number 9 right here.
Call from. Oops, your caller just hung up. Press 2 to call.
Calling number 9. Thanks for calling in. Next caller is the winner. Good luck.
And I still water from the top. So it's a lot, like Josh said, it takes away the human error. It's my version of a blue mat because I haven't gotten the blue mats dialed in. But if you had the blue mats on top and the sip in the bottom, I mean, you would be good. Because for the 20-gallon, it's thick. It's way thicker. It's almost 19, 20 inches. So his beds are a foot deep. So I feel like you got to get them. You're saturating until you barely see runoff and then you stop, which takes a lot of time. In a 20-gallon, at least 2 gallons easily, gallon and a half. But if you got the sip, you can put a gallon through the top, and depending on like the big, huge girl in flower right now, almost 8 feet wide, scrogged out, she's drinking 3 gallons through the sip a day.
And that's through the sip.
That's through the sip. And I'm still top dressing. Like I'll come in with maybe a tea or a kelp, and I like making teas. Teas is what got me into all this. I love making a compost tea. I love brewing. I love seeing the stuff brew up. I love looking at it under the microscope. So that's fun to me. So I enjoy making teas. So I'll feed it teas through the top. If I top dress anything, I always water it in. Coconut water, aloe water. Uh-oh.
All right, y'all. This the winner right here.
Call from. To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2. To
Hold up.
accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
I know, right?
Call from.
John.
Were you the 202?
All right. Hello.
Oh, shit.
Hello.
Oh, you lost. I think you
Hello.
were 10 caller.
Hello.
Hello.
Is that somebody saying hello? Or is that me saying hello? What's going
No,
on?
that's him. Can you hear him?
All right, who's this? Yeah.
This is Sir
I'm trying to work this one out. Huh?
This is Sir Sticky.
Okay, hey, you the winner. Hey, say that name again. Is that your
Wait.
IG handle?
That's my YouTube handle, Sir Sticky.
Do you have an IG handle?
An IG, no.
Okay, Sir Sticky. What I'm gonna do is go ahead and hit me on my email, which is DC Pharma 202, and hit me just like that as Sir Sticky on, and I'm gonna subscribe to you on YouTube so we know we are who we are, and I'm sending the package to the right person.
Sweet.
So make sure, and thanks for calling in, and thanks for supporting the show, and congratulations for winning this package. You're getting something awesome here, so thanks again.
Awesome. Thank you. No Till Revolution.
That's right now. All right, y'all. We got time for a few more questions here. We got 4 minutes here. So let's go ahead. We're gonna wrap this up right quick. But if you got any questions, go ahead and shoot them through right now. And like I said, congratulations to the winner once again.
Apparently the line was busy. They're saying people were trying.
Yeah, I swear people was getting bumped off. People were calling. I appreciate the love, everybody that's tuning in and everybody that's calling in. And I definitely have something again next week for y'all. So if you didn't win this week, hopefully you win again next week, man. I'll try to throw something else together for y'all. This was my little Smokers Box edition. I'm trying to have something, a little bit of everything for you to be able to light up what you had.
DC Pharma, since we're doing the nutrients, man, I can put together some little top dress pack, a little tea pack. We can send out some stuff. We send out some.
That'd be awesome from the amendment man himself.
No-till care package, if you will.
You heard it here. Next week we got a nice no-till care package for y'all, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw in some cover crops in there with you. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do for next week. Again, thanks for tuning in, y'all. That's it. We're gonna wrap this up for the night. Took this all the way to the end tonight. So like I said, thanks Joshua Steenland for coming in tonight.
Awesome.
Talking some no-till. Please go to his IG. Please go to his YouTube. Facebook is for family, so y'all go ahead and leave that alone. But for the most part, go to his IG, man, and show that man some love, man. And if you were in his area, which I forgot to mention to the people out here in D.C., this Joshua Steenland is from the West Coast. And if you are in his area, check him out. Check his company out for the kombucha. He's definitely got that going for y'all. And again, thanks again. Tune in to
Cannabis DC
on IG and DC Pharma. And we'll see y'all again next Monday on the DC Pharma Show, y'all. Good night.
All right, everybody, stay lifted.